All righty. Welcome to the Gridiron. Basically, how great the New York Giants are and how badly the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys fucking blow. And they get I hate those two teams. Oh man, I can't stand them. Well, so welcome to the Gridiron. Checking me out on YouTube. Description box below if you want to help my channel out. It would mean the absolute world to me. Description box below on YouTube. The very top link takes you to my membership page if you want to help support my channel out. Got 3 different membership levels. First one's called the Saquon. The second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third membership level I got's called the Gridiron. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. If you're checking me out on YouTube, maybe give this video a thumbs up or share this video. It would be absolutely freaking awesome. I greatly appreciate it. And also, go down below if you're not subscribed to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell icon. That way, next time I go live, or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. It's free of charge. Right? There's no taxes. There's nothing. It's free. Subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And finally, also, just a little ways down in the description box, there's 2 additional links. The top one takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,100 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I have internet access, I'm putting stuff in that group darn near 365. And then the link underneath, it takes you to my Twitter account. And basically, if you follow me on Twitter, I'll follow you back. That's an absolute promise. I try to put Giants-related stuff in my Twitter account every day. All right, well, we're getting closer and closer. I mean, actually, right? Let's see. Man, it's like 10:50. Well, it won't be over with, but in 24 hours from now, guys, the 2024 football season, NFL football season, is on. Should be a good game. Should be a good game. Absolutely. But, I mean, between the Chiefs and the Ravens. And then, of course, then you got the Friday, right? You got the Beagles and the Packers in Brazil. I feel kind of sorry in a way. I mean, because it's like some of these guys, I don't know, you don't know how much of it's true or not or whatever, but like Slay, I think, was saying from the Eagles, he's really not looking for, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like you can't take your cell phone out, walk down the street and stuff like that. I mean, it's like, they're beefing up security. It's like, wow. I mean, why do we, I mean, if we got the safety of our guys, I mean, as I said, I can't stand the Eagles. Can't stand the guy. I don't want to see any of those guys ever get hurt, either anybody, period. I certainly want to see them take them to a place where they can't even have to worry about taking their cell phones out, walking down the street and stuff. I mean, what the hell? Why are we going there? Couldn't pick someplace else to go that's a little safer? Really? There's quite a few countries out there. I mean, I know Brazil is beautiful, and they're certainly known for their football, but it's the soccer football. But, I mean, we can't pick a safer place, a safer country to go to than, But anyway, hope they all, obviously, that should be a nice game as well, too. I mean, Then I saw an article. It was somebody posted in one of the Facebook groups, and that's why I love being associated with so many Facebook groups. Once again, you don't know how much of it is all true and everything. But they were possibly talking about, all Labor Day weekend, or after Labor Day weekend, right? I guess that the weekend or whatever after Labor Day, right? There's just like 5 straight days of football: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Whoo, Lord child. The only thing is, you're not so sure about the Saturday, because now you're interfering with, like, I mean, I'm sure, I mean, in some places, I mean, high school football is like, it's like, oh, God, you know. But then again, you also got, you know, college football on Saturday, so it's kind of a little bit of an iffy, you know, for this Saturday. But I mean, I can see Thursday. We got Friday football, right? It's freaking awesome, ain't it? Then we got Sunday football, obviously Sunday night football, Monday night football. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I'll take 4 out of 5 days. I mean, I'm fine with that. That's cool, right? The one nice thing about that is that, it behooves, kind of in a way, the teams who playing Thursday and Friday, play Wednesday, right? Why not? I mean, play Wednesday. It gives you a week and a half off until the next weekend. So you got 10 days off. You play a game, right? You get a little beat up or whatever. You got 10 days or whatever until the next game you got to play, right? That's almost kind of like a no-brainer. But, I mean, this is awesome. Thursday night, Friday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Sunday football. I mean, wow, awesome. Got to love it. But it's hard to believe in whatever. So we got an hour and 6 minutes, and it'll be Thursday, and the season is upon us. Got to love it, man. Absolutely got to love it. But I saw on here there was there's a bunch of articles and all kinds of stuff coming out, but this one was talking about some storylines to talk about with that. And it did a pretty good job. Matt Sitek did a pretty good job here talking about some storylines with the Giants and the Vikings. There's storylines in every game. There's obviously other storylines you can talk about here, but the ones he went over pretty interesting. Obviously, the first one is obviously the 100th season. Big, right? I mean, what is it? There's obviously there's a celebration Friday, right? Friday night, there's the celebration at the stadium. Then I think there's like a 5K run, I think, on Saturday. And then of course I said Sunday, that there, the celebration, the uniforms and all that. Bob Papa was talking about that, the halftime festivities are going to be a little bit longer because what they're doing is they're bringing out the families of the top 100, whoever the surviving members, I guess, of the top 100 players in Giants history. So, I mean, that could take, who knows? I mean, I don't know if they're introducing them individually, each person that comes out. I don't know how extended the family is. Is it just the player, his wife, and his children? Or is it the player, his wife, his brothers, his sisters, his mom, and I mean, if they're still alive, his children, his grandchildren, his great-grand. I mean, like with Mel Hein. I mean, he's not around no more. Jimmy Patton, he passed away. I think it was like 1972, unfortunately. But so I'm not sure how extended the family is going to be. But I mean, they have a lot of people they got to introduce. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not sure. Like say, when Carl Banks' family is coming out, do they say, and here is Carl Banks' family, and everybody cheering? Or do they individually say, this is Carl Banks' wife, this is Carl Banks' son, this is Carl Banks' daughter, this is Carl Banks' brother, this is Carl, do they do that? I don't know. But I mean, the halftime is going to be extended. Papa said that what they were talking about doing at the halftime, he knows what's going on. But it's they're introducing them, but they're introducing them in a certain manner. Now it's not number 100 on there. Since I brought up 100, on there. Pop this down here. All right, since I brought up, I forgot. Rich Seibert. Okay. Since they brought up, and number 100, it's Rich Seibert, and here's his family. Okay. And number 99 is Brad Benson, and here's his family. I don't know. But apparently they're not doing that. They're not counting it down from 1 to 100. They're not going from Lawrence Taylor up to Rich Seibert. I mean, they're not doing that. They're doing some type of special, I don't know. I don't know if they're going from newest player to oldest player, possibly. Right? Like, I guess it would be Benny Friedman. I think if we're going back as far back as we are, Benny Friedman was 1929, 29, 30, 31. So as far as I know, I think he's the oldest. But anyway, Steve Owen, he's not on the list here. Right, Steve Owen's not on. Is he on the list? Steve Owen joined the Giants in 26. Steve Owen, 54. Okay, yeah, so Steve Owen would be the oldest one. Yeah, I mean, he played for the Giants. Yeah, I forgot. He played for the Giants, and obviously he was their coach from 31 to 53. So, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, would Steve Owen be the last one to be introduced? Because he's the oldest, his family, he passed away. You know what I mean? But anyway, so they got the 100th anniversary, right, the kickoff and everything. And Matt brings up, he says, coming off a year riddled with injuries, the Giants will look to get to the 2024 campaign started with a victory for the second time since Brian Dable took over as head coach in 2022. Now, interestingly, Bob Papa brought up, you got to go back to 20. I mean, it's hard to believe. I mean, it just goes to show you. Yeah, I mean, Bob Papa said you got to go back to 2010 for the last time the Giants beat the Panthers. 2010. You got to go to a week 1 home game victory. You got to have the trifecta. It's got to be week 1, right? Opening, right? A week 1 home game and the victory. You got to have. The Giants have not had that since 2010. We started week 1 at home. We took the L, or if we did get a victory in week 1, we were on the road. So you got to go back to 2010. You got to go back. Oh, what's up, buddy? Goofballs in the house. So you got to go back to 2010, Bob. Well, I didn't look, but that's what he said. You know, before, you know, I mean, that's a long freaking time. So if the Giants are primed for, obviously, any given Sunday, you got to play and all that stuff and everything. But, the Vikings are like in the same kind of division. We're not going up against the Chiefs or the 49ers or the Lions or whoever like that or something, right? We're going up against the Vikings. We're at home against the Vikings. They got, I don't know if you want to call him a backup quarterback in there with Darnold or, whatever. Hawkinson's not playing. And if you go with, we got Addison, he's got a problem with his ankle. Now he's supposed to be playing from reading there anyway, but if he's got an ankle problem, hopefully he won't be at the top of his game. So that'll certainly help. But let's see. He also talks about here with the NFL debut for the rookie class. Absolutely. Let's see. The Giants have 53 players. The Giants currently have the 4th youngest team in the NFL and the 2nd youngest team with their starting lineup. I mean, their starting lineup is 25 and a half years old. According to the 33rd team, it says. A big reason for that is because of the team's rookie class. All 6 of the Giants' 2024 draft picks, along with the 2 undrafted free agents, made the 53-man roster. The 8 rookies are set to make their NFL debut this weekend. So, it's always exciting to get that, to see what the rookies look like. And I'm excited to see all of them out there. I want to see what, certainly, is Tracy. See what he has to offer. Are they going to wind up putting him back? Maybe returning kicks, right? Definitely want to see what Phillips. Phillips and Newman. They're certainly going to get tested. That's for sure. Of course, like what Malik Neighbors can do. Theo Johnson. Dying to see him in there. So the rookie, definitely interesting to see with the rookie class. You always get that, the heightened excitement about, the rookies. He also talks about, the pass rush. Absolutely. And I said there's a bunch of storylines you can go, but he talks about here the pass rush. When was the last time, we've had, this, sexy, right? Kayvon and Brian Burns. And now, to be fair, the Vikings do have a very good offensive line. They have some very good tackles. So, it's not going to be ain't no cakewalk for Burns or Thibodeau. But, I think between all three of them, very interesting to see what kind of pressure they can produce. That was the one thing I always loved, like when Lawrence Taylor was on. I mean, sometimes I'd almost be pissed when our offense was on the field, because I just love when our defense was on the field, and the opposing quarterback could just drop back the pass, and we'd rush maybe 3-4 guys, and we get pressure all over them. So, I mean, it was just so exciting. I loved winning the game, and I like to see it running the ball, with Joe Morris and all, but sometimes it was a little boring. I wanted to see action. I wanted to see the other team with the ball, dropping back to see if they could try to pass the ball, without getting his head ripped off or something. That I liked. So, to actually go into a game, possibly, where the opposing team's quarterback can drop back the pass, and we're going to get some nice pressure on them. That's kind of exciting. That's kind of exciting, but it's got to, we got some young guys in the secondary, so we might have some errors from time to time with the new defensive coordinator, new defensive system. The young guys, they're going to be learning, but a good strong pass rush will certainly help that out. That's for sure. It says, with the arrival of Shane Bowen as the team's coordinator, Giants defense has undergone some stark changes from last season. Oh yeah. No more Wink. In addition to the new defensive scheme, one that sends less blitzes and relies a lot more on the defensive front getting pressure on the quarterback, Giants also made a big offseason acquisition, obviously, with Burns. Burns joins a defensive line that also features Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau. A trio combined for 148 quarterback pressures last season, according to Pro Football Focus. Over the last 4 seasons, Burns' 20.4% pass rush win rate ranks 14th in the league, which helped him get selected to 2 Pro Bowls. Meanwhile, Lawrence has been named second-team All-Pro in each of his last 2 seasons, while Thibodeau is coming off a breakout sophomore campaign in which he featured for 11.5 sacks. Big improvement from his 4 sacks as a rookie. Yep. Then he talks about scouting the Vikings. The Vikings will also look a lot different from the team the Giants defeated in the wild card. Perhaps the biggest difference will be under center, where Sam Darnold has taken over as the team's starting cornerback, replacing Kirk Cousins, who is now with the Falcons. After starting 55 games across his first 5 seasons with the Jets and the Panthers, Darnold spent the 2023 campaign with the 49ers, where he started 1 game. He completed 61.5% of his passes, 189 yards, and a touchdown in the 49ers' Week 18 loss to the Rams, while adding 14 yards and additional score on the ground. Oh, man. Obviously, yeah, they got Stephon Gilmore back there, Harrison Smith, but they're getting a little long in the tooth, some of those guys there. They've got completely different edge guys. So it'll be a challenge. I'm not sure who's talking here. Make sure that you're on point with everything you need to be on point to make sure the play works. 11 people, that pressure, I'd say, quite often. Well, the one thing is we're going to talk about here is obviously with Brian Flores and his defense, right? He likes to bring the pressure. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Flores – I think Wink was number 2 in the Giants, but I think the Vikings were number 1 last season as far as sending pressure on the quarterback. And he likes to send pressure. He certainly likes to bring pressure. And, I don't know if there's still any sour grapes or sour apples or sour whatever you want to call it, or if he's still, I don't know, pissed off about the Giants situation, the racial things that he said were going on, or whatever, So it'd be interesting to see if what kind of defense Flores winds up cooking up. But he does like to bring pressure. Giants went to great lengths to revamp their historically bad their offensive line this past offseason and appeared to have succeeded. Got the additions of Jermaine Illuminor, Van Roten, John Runyon that paid immediate dividends. But training camp in the preseason differed greatly from the regular season, and the new look unit will be tested from the jump. Absolutely. Sunday afternoon at MetLife Stadium, the group will be tasked with slowing down a blitz-heavy unit led by defensive coordinator Brian Flores. I'd say it's completely different defense from Brian there, and with a lot of new players that they've added, it's a pressure defense. He pressures often, sometimes the entire game, head coach Brian Daboll told reporters on Tuesday. Daboll and Flores squared off 6 times while the former was offensive coordinator of the Bills and the latter was the head coach of the Dolphins. Daboll was 6-0 in those games. In order to make it 1-0 with the Giants on Sunday, Daboll will have to get more production out of his quarterback, Daniel Jones, than he did a season ago, and that requires an offensive line that can limit the pressure. I think going up against Wink Martindale and all the different pressures he brought, you've got to have answers and things to get to offensively, Jones said, comparing Martindale's system to Flores. This defense puts a lot of pressure on the offense and on the quarterback, and you've got to see it, understand what's happening, and be prepared. I've got a lot of confidence in the offensive line. I think they played really well throughout training camp. We've got some veterans who we brought in, some older guys who I think have done a good job and gotten on the same page. I think Carmen Basile has done a really good job working with that group. I feel like we have a good plan this week. I'm excited. I think that it's going to play well. It will certainly be a test for the Giants right out of the gate, but with Daboll calling plays, Big Blue might have the advantage, especially with a capable offensive line. Now, I mean, they don't have to be, the top 10 unit, and they can, can we get around 15 to 20? Where you can function, compared to what was going on. It seemed like sometimes, man, they were the defense was in the backfield before Daniel Jones or whoever the quarterback was. It got a chance to set up. It was just that week one, that was absolutely horrible. And I can't remember which Cowboy it was. But, when I don't know what it was the third quarter or fourth quarter, whatever. Somebody had a camera, might have been, the broadcast, whoever was broadcasting the game, and had on the Cowboys sideline. And one of the guys for the Cowboys, it was just, he was just telling the truth. He was standing up. He was looking at the defensive player. There was a defensive player standing up going, and you get a sack, and you get a sack, and you get it. That was the truth. That's pretty embarrassing. That's unbelievable. They come into your place and 40-0. Wow. 40-0. And I said, and then Vikings receiver Jordan Addison, he said he's in a good spot to play an opener at the Giants. But the ankle's there. He was limited. But the Vikings also named the 2024 team captains, blah, 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 blah. There's optimism that second-year Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison will be recovered in time to play during Sunday's season opener at the Giants. But, he obviously he could be recovered and all, but if the ankle's a little sore or something like that, he won't be 100%. So that's helpful. I said Hawkinson won't be there, so that's helpful, right? Addison, who suffered a sprained ankle, was carted off the practice field on August 14th. Joint practice against the Browns has been running smoothly during warm-ups in the 15-minute period of practice open to reporters, but he was listed as limited participant during Wednesday's padded practice. Kevin O'Connell said he expects Addison to increase his practice reps and eventually play. We'd like to kind of progress him, O'Connell said Wednesday, hopefully to full participant by the end of the week. I think Jordan's in a good spot, and I feel pretty good about him making the game. Receiver Jalen Naylor, he's you know, I only saw two guys on the injury, and it was both wide receivers for the Vikings. Jalen Naylor has been hit by the injury bug again, also with a sprained ankle. Naylor, who missed 11 games last year because of a concussion and hamstring issues, was listed as limited participant Wednesday. And O'Connell said he's a couple days behind Jordan of Naylor's recovery, but I think he's progressing really well. I feel really good about where Jalen was at coming off training camp when he had a lot of work with the first group. Being able to be out there with the first group would be big for us. Then they got their linebacker Blake Cashman with a finger, cornerback Shaq Griffin with a hamstring are cleared to play after recently missing practice time. So if we look at, let's see, the Giants listed two starters as limited. Wow. We go here. The Giants injury report. They had 4 players that were listed as limited. Drew Lock with his abdomen. Micah McFadden with his groin. Dane Belton with his back. And Gunnar Olszewski with his groin. He says if Olszewski can't go, the Giants have cornerback Adoree Jackson and running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. as potential return candidates. Giants special teams coordinator Michael Gabriel didn't want to give away the plans there, but he did outline the top criteria he wants from whoever returns punts. Catch the frickin' ball. The biggest thing to me with any return of value is the person has to make sure that they can own the football, he said. That's safely securing it because the most telling statistic in terms of winning and losing in the league is turnover margin. So we want to make sure whoever is back there, that guy is owning the football and making smart decisions to catch it. I mean, do you want a Devin Hester? What's going on, buddy? Oh, hey, Ruben, how's it going, pal? Haven't heard from you in a while. Oh, yeah, we're ready. We're ready. Absolutely. Yeah. Whew. Oh, it's another season. Another season upon us. I absolutely freaking love it. But it was talking about, I mean, you obviously with a returner, especially like with punts, do you want a Devin? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Or Gale Sayers or, somebody can catch it and take it. But, worst comes to worst, can you get the guy, right? And just boom, catch it, right? And you start 1st and 10 from wherever he catches it. Trying to catch it and fumble it, what Eric Gray was kind of doing last season, all of that, and you wind up losing the football. And, the Giants are not so much the team that could be giving up, just giving away points, so, everything is, really, really very, very important, obviously. But it'd be interesting to see if Gunnar Olszewski can't go, right? Who might the kickoff returners be, right? The Giants might be hoping to where Olszewski can at least stand back there and field the ball, even if it means he doesn't return it. But for that to happen, Olszewski, who has looked gimpy in practice, might have to make a bit more progress in his rehab. So we'll have to wait and see. Backup quarterback Dable said the plan was to get Tommy DeVito some extra reps just in case Locke isn't ready to go, and the backup quarterback is called upon. The Giants are off on Thursday, so the next injury update will be a projection and is unlikely to change. The final status of the injury will be updated on Friday. So I'll have to wait and see. So they are off tomorrow. But it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, do they dress all 3 quarterbacks? Right? Because you make the 53, that doesn't mean you're not dressing all 53. So they're gonna dress 3 quarterbacks. I mean, if Drew Lock maybe can't go, I'm going to have Daniel Jones and then Tommy DeVito, right? And Drew Lock won't dress. Interesting to see. Well, I'll tell you what, boy, that, man, I mean, the Vikings have a very good, obviously very good, the receivers and all. So, I certainly don't see the Giants, shutting them out. That's for sure. But I mean, 35-17, man, that would be awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. It would be nice. I mean, because it's kind of like, although I think that, well, I guess the team in 2005 was maybe a little bit, because Eli was a little bit, well, it was Eli's second season. But like when Wellington Mara passed away, right? And that next week, sorry if I offend anybody, but the Redskins came to town, right? We just opened up a can of whoop ass on them, right? And shut them out, right? Wellington Mara, the long time, he's been with the team for 80 freaking years. 1925, he passes away in 2005, right? So 80, so he passes away, and then the next week, the Giants just, right? So here we are, another situation. It's a big. You're starting off your 100th season in the NFL. The crowd's going freaking crazy. You got these funky, the helmets, the design. You look like the Michigan Wolverines, and the uniforms, and you got all the top 100. Well, you won't have all the players there because a lot of them passed away, but their family's going to be there. Lawrence, everybody's freaking going to be there and everything like that. If you're just going to get out there and just go hog wild crazy and just go, and at least win the freaking game. This is it. It's not like we're bringing in the Kansas City Chiefs or the Dallas Cowboys, who we, for whatever reason, can't seem to beat. Or something, we're not bringing one of those teams in, right? I mean, this is the team that's kind of on par with you. Although somehow, Giants don't get no love. I think the Vikings are like a 2-point favorite. Okay. Sam Darnold. Oh, yeah. The future Hall of Famer himself, Sam Darnold, is a 2-point favorite on the road. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. So, but I mean, if this is the point in time, they're just gonna go out and just kick some butt. This would be the day. This would be it. I mean, just go out there and just I said you don't have to beat them 40-0, but 35-17. I'd be happy with that. Let me tell you what, that's damn shit. All right, and I seen this here. Now this is kind of Bowen was talking today. All of the coordinators were talking today, right? You had Gabriel, Kafka, right? You had Bowen. They were all talking today. So Bowen was sharing a little bit of some things he was talking about. I guess kind of like not saying so much the bend but don't break philosophy, but also when you get down inside the 20, he said that's you got to own up to that. Let's see where we at here. It's kind of like passive aggressive in a good way. Like when you talk to people and you feel like they are yelling at you, but they are not yelling at you. Nickelback Isaiah Simmons said, to call an offense explosive, whatever this is equivalent to on defense, fast, physical, and swarming. The Titans didn't rank higher than 24th in the NFL in blitz percentage during any of Bowen's 3 seasons, 2021 to 2023, as the defensive coordinator, while the Giants were the most blitz-heavy team during Martindale's 2-year stint. On the back end, Bowen called man-to-man coverage on just 24.2% of the snaps over his tenure, which is a drastic drop from the league-leading 39.4% that was a hallmark of the Martindale era. I want these guys to attack, Bowen said before Thursday's practice. It's a play style. When you play defensive football, there's an expectation of physicality, toughness, and being aggressive throughout. Totally different than scheme and what that is. Bowen values violent hands on the line of scrimmage, downhill linebackers, and physical defensive backs who tackle with their chest in the run game. He is drawing rave reviews in the locker room for his direct approach to making corrections. There's a fine line between being aggressive and hitting guys when it's legal and being stupid and hitting guys late, Bowen said. We want to toe the edge, but at the same time, we can't do the dumb stuff that costs the team. The Giants investments in the front four and cover safeties who can play drop zone or match zone lines up with Bowen's thinking. Brian Burns acquired in a trade with the Panthers, and Kayvon Thibodeau combined for 19.5 sacks last season, and Dexter Lawrence 81 pressures over the last 2 seasons, or 5 times more than any other NFL nose tackle. Isn't that freaking crazy? We're not talking 5 more, or not talking twice as much, 5 times more. Unbelievable. Than any other nose tackle. This defense is about letting the D-line eat, Lawrence said. That's how you want it. Let the big guys take control of the game and don't give the quarterback enough time to throw an accurate pass. The hallmarks of Bowen's defense are stopping the run, one of the main things that the Giants head coach Brian Daboll prioritized, search that followed Martin's ugly exit and the stingy red zone defense that the secondary condensed the field. The Titans ranked number 1 last season and number 2 over the last 3 seasons in the lowest touchdown percentage allowed inside the 20-yard line, and the number 1 in lowest yards per carry, 3.7, and number 2 in run defense, expected points added during Bowen's tenure. In the one full series that the Giants started playing during the preseason, the Texans' 11-play, 59-yard drive stalled out at the 6-yard line and resulted in 0 points. It's a game changer if they score 3 points instead of 7, Bowen said. I wouldn't say it's bend but don't break as much as it's let's make sure when they go get down there that we're defending our house. That end zone is our house. We're going to do everything we can and find ways. That goes back to mental toughness, being able to play the next play, not to be focused on what happened, but be focused on what's coming. The big question, of course, is the Vikings receiver tandem of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison could put that theory to a quick test. Oh, yeah. He said our communication level pre-snap, post-snap within plays off the field outside of the facility we think is higher than anybody in this league, safety Jason Pinnock said. We're going to show guys you're going to have to flip that scheme by halftime. We'll have to wait and see. So the defense emphasized that everybody needs to be talking. Linebacker Michael McFadden said, your job can change pretty quickly with a new formation or emotion. So you have to work and make it simple. Now, a lot of the young guys they got back there, so yeah, there could be some errors, some boo-boos, some slip-ups, but that's you got a new defensive coordinator, a new defensive system. You got some young guys there. Quite possibly, I guess if you have 2 safeties, right, and you got 3 cornerbacks, that's 5 guys, right? It's possible, especially Belton's back. I don't know how bad or tight it is or whatever, but out of those 5 guys, you might have Newman and Phillips, right? Yeah, so you might have 2 rookies out of those 5. So, but once again, I'm very excited about seeing those guys back there and seeing what they can wind up doing. Really, really, really pumped up about seeing those guys. That'd be fantastic. And then finally I saw we got the Giants that finally the top 10 of all time. Now apparently what they did was what Bob Papa was talking about was they I guess each guys got scores, I guess it was, and whoever got the highest score was number 1. Whoever had the second most points was number 2. So it wasn't like they had a committee and they had a bunch of names up there and they're like, I don't know, Dave Jennings, 74. Let's make him 73. It wasn't like that. So basically, I don't know. They had a panel of people. I don't know how they scored each. I don't know. It wasn't like you got to score from 1 to 100. If you were number one, they thought you were number one or something like that, or whatever, or maybe the most players that got voted on to go. Somehow there was a score that was assigned, and whoever had the most points, obviously Lawrence Taylor. No shocker there. But, so they had Rosie Brown got the second most points. So basically what Bob was saying is that, nobody was like kind of like, I don't, let's say, like here, where are we at here? Let's go down here. I don't know. I think Rich Seibert, instead of number 100, I think we should put him at 98. Let's move Eddie Price down to 99. Brad Benson, I don't know. I'd put him up to 97. Bring Hakeem Nicks down to, so so all of that seemed to got taken out of their hands. So basically it was some type of a scoring system that they did. And whoever wound up with the most points, they just, marked it down. Whoever, Rich Seibert, I guess, had he was number 100, right? So obviously there's a bunch of guys he didn't make the list, but, it is what it is. But, you got Andy Robustelli was number 10. And it just goes to show you. You got Andy Robustelli, Sam Huff, Emlen Tunnell, and Frank Gifford. Those guys. Although Emlen Tunnell, his last game was the '58 championship game with the Giants, anyway. But he was there in the '50s. I think his rookie season was 48, I believe it was. But Robustelli came in the '50s. Frank Gifford got drafted in '52. Sam Huff got drafted in '56. Emlen Tunnell was 48, so that golden era right there from 56 to 63 when the Giants won the 6 championship games. You had a lot of and Rosie Brown, right? So you had a lot of really good players from back then. And so obviously, the top 10 players, you got 5 guys from that era, right? Roosevelt Brown, Frank Gifford was drafted in 52. Roosevelt Brown, to me, is the greatest draft pick the Giants ever had, right? Because he was the 27th round. 27. They knew Lawrence Taylor, because obviously things, the drafting changes. The drafting in 1953 was nowhere near what it is today. So you picked a guy like Roosevelt Brown in the 27th round, and he winds up being your second. The guy was like, I'll probably show you. But the guy had like a 32-inch waist. He was like 260 pounds, whatever it was. There's a funny story. He's a tackle. The guy was just an unbelievable athlete. Unbelievable. One time, I don't know what year it was, but with Frank Gifford, right? I think it was a run and play. Frank Gifford got the ball, and so they ran it to Roosevelt Brown's side, I believe it was, and Roosevelt, I guess, pulled out or whatever, and he took out one guy or one or two guys or whatever it was. So as he's knocking those guys down, right, Frank Gifford runs past him, right? So Frank's running, down the field or whatever, and he starts feeling like somebody's gaining on him. He's like, oh man, he's running. I don't know how far he ran, but he's like, oh dude, somebody's catching me, man. I gotta run. And then as he's running, right, who's catching up to him and who's passing him? Roosevelt Brown. The guy was just an absolute unbelievable athlete. But Andy Robustelli, we had a trade with the Rams to get him. Defensive end. It's a shame, that sacks don't count and not like that, because that dude had a ton of sacks. He came to the Giants prior to the 56 season in a trade with the Rams, who received the first-round draft choice. He had been selected by the Rams in the 19th round of the 51 draft from tiny Arnold College in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Robustelli played on the Rams team that won the 51 title. They beat the Browns. I think it was 24-17. The Giants won the 56 championship in Robustelli's first season with the team. They won 5 more conference championships during his tenure, 58, 59, 61, 62, 63. Robustelli played on a winning team in 13 of his 14 pro seasons and played in 8 NFL championship games. Just absolutely phenomenal. let's see, 8 championship games. So he would have been the 6th with the Giants. He played in the championship game in 55 with the Rams and 51 with the Rams. Those were his 8. 51, 55, 56, 58, 59, 61, 62, 63. Yeah. And he was a part of what, to me, was the best defense ever put together, said Hall of Fame linebacker Sam Huff, who played for the Giants from 56 to 63. We had Andy's experience. We had Dick Modulewski. Then we had Roosevelt Greer. Along came another defensive name by Jim Catkavage. And Emlen Tunnell, who's the best safety to ever play in the league. Jimmy Patton, Erich Barnes. It was just a fantastic. Obviously Robustelli also became wasn't named general manager, but he 1973 he took over and quote unquote first Giants general manager. But that was a great trade. The Giants did a lot of trading back then. Let me tell you what, some of them worked out, some of them didn't. But this one, I'll tell you what, when they drafted or traded for Andy Robustelli, number 81, I'll tell you what, man, it was a great. I know one season, I can't remember what it was, but I think between Andy Robustelli and Jim King, let me say, let me tell you, and this was in a 14-game schedule here. Let me check this out. Jim, okay. Let's see here. Okay, so in this is all unofficial, 1963, Jim Catkavage in 14 games had 20 and a half sacks. Right. Now let's go. Let's see here. 60. Let's go see 63 here. See what? Because Jim Catkavage was a defensive end. Andy Robustelli was a defensive end. Let's see here. 1963. How many Robustelli have? 63. He had 14 and a half sacks. So 20. So between, and this is only in 14 games. Our two ends had 35 sacks between the two of them. Unofficial, I get it. 20 and a half sacks from Jim Catkavage in 14 games. And 14 and a half sacks from Andy Robustelli. 35 sacks between our two defensive ends. Could you imagine nowadays, Brian? And that's in 14 games. If you figure, if you multiply that out to 17 games, they'd have probably about 40 sacks between the two guys. Wow. I'll take that. Then, of course, in Sam Huff, drafted him in 1956 out of West Virginia. The one thing was with him is he really got discouraged his rookie season. And actually, it wound up being Chandler, our kicker or punter at the time, and Sam Huff, got discouraged, and they both left, and they went to the airport. Well, who went to the airport and convinced the guys to come back and play? Vince Lombardi, right? The problem was with Sam Huff. He was like a tweener. They didn't really know what to do with him, right? He was not fast enough, I think they said, to be like an offensive lineman, like a guard, a pulling guard or something. He wasn't fast enough. I think that's what they said. He wasn't big enough to be a defensive lineman. What do you do with him? The guy, whatever, 230, 240, whatever. What do you do with him? Right? So, thankfully we had some guy by the name Tom Landry, right? And he built, he had the 4-3, right? He had the guys in the front, Dick Modulewski and Rosie Greer, right? Had those guys, and they obviously took on. It is a 4-3. They occupy the blockers. That's how Ray Lewis goes sideline to sideline, right? He had Syracuse and it was Adams or whatever. They had two guys that weighed like 700 pounds each. right? The 2000 Ravens. They occupied 75 blockers each one. They just, Syracuse would just grab them and just eat the blockers. And the other guy, I think it was Adams. I'd have to look it up. I mean, they're 17,000 pounds apiece. I mean, these guys are huge. You couldn't move them. You couldn't block them, couldn't move them, not like that. So I allowed Ray Lewis to run up and down and just make tackles. Well, that's what Sam Huff did, right? He made it where Tom Laney with the 4-3 defense, right? The defensive line occupied, right? And had their own things they were supposed to do on each play, obviously, but it was to help free up Sam Huff, allow him the ability to roam and make the tackles, and that's what he did. But it's just so weird because these two guys came to the Giants in '56, and Robustelli's number 10, Sam Huff's number 9. But it was, he owes Vince Lombardi quite a bit because I said he went to the airport and he brought him and convinced him to come back and play. Now, also, after Vince Lombardi coached the Washington Redskins in 1969, he was going to be their coach in 1970, but he passed away just prior to the season starting. But Sam Huff had retired. Sam Huff retired in '68, and he came out of retirement in '69. He called Vince Lombardi on the phone and said, "Coach, hey, I can play. And then he said something. Vince Lombardi said something. You can do that? You play now?" He's like, "Yeah, coach." He said, "I'll coach." I said, I'll play, but I'll coach the linebackers for you." I mean, it just goes to show you how different things were back then, right? And he picks the phone up and calls. It's like somebody, calling Dable on the phone. "Hey, Dave, say, I'll play for you, but I'll coach you." "Oh, yeah, all right, come on." You know what I mean? That's what Sam Huff did. He played from the Redskins. He got traded. He hated the Giants for trading him. Absolutely, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. But he retired after 67. 68, he was retired. 69, he came back and he played the one season for Vince Lombardi. But so he had a long career, but phenomenal, solid linebacker, Then, of course, number 8, Eli Manning. Now, I don't know. It's it kind of go both ways with Eli. Should he be higher on this list? He got his 2 championships. Now if you look at his overall record, his winning record, right? He had a lot of touchdown passes, a lot of yards and all that stuff and everything. But it's just, it's 2 championships, 2 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs. Right? So I was surprised. I thought he'd be a little higher on this list, but it's I can't argue. Hey, guy's number 8. The thing I was a little surprised about, but also compare. You look what Harry Carson did, how long he was with the Giants. He's actually higher on this list than Eli Manning. Now, Harry Carson was part of the 1 Super Bowl, right? But I said with Eli Manning, he's the one. Especially in 2011, he put the team on his back. Guys, end zone's that way, right? If you're not with me, get off the field. We couldn't run. We really didn't have a very good running game. I think toward the end of the season, I think it started gelling a little bit more, but we did not have a good running game. Eli Manning had it was on him, right? That pass down the sideline to Manningham, now to me, that pass was far greater than whatever the Tyree. The Tyree was a catch. That was the catch on the helmet. That was the Tyree part, right? That wasn't Manning didn't pinpoint it. Oh, I'm going to throw it to the top of his helmet and let him catch it. No, the one to Manningham down the sideline. But you look at it. You're in the Super Bowl. This might be the last time you touched up football in this game. If you don't score, you lose. No pressure. Well, what did he do? 2 for 2 against the New England Patriots. And obviously, of course, in 2007, the undefeated Patriots, right? So, but if you look at the accomplishments of Harry Carson, the Pro Bowls he went to all time, just be number 7. He played 173 games. Let's see here. He was selected to 9 Pro Bowls, including 7 in a row. The Giants had tackled 6 times. 2-time All-NFL first-team selection, and was the sole captain of the 86 Super Bowl champions. You know, I mean, yeah, what he was able to do over a long period of time. Let's see. In the 7 seasons from 81 to 87, the Giants' opponents only averaged 3.59 yards per rushing attempt, a remarkable achievement for so long a period. During that period, Carson was credited with 856 tackles, including 627 unassisted tackles. He was enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006, and I was there. I was there that year. It was really, really fantastic. But I mean, just what he was able to do for just such a long period of time. I mean, there was a couple times I think he got injured. I can't remember exactly when, but for the most part, just from 76 to 88, just model of consistency. Just a model consistency. And I'll tell you what, when he came in the 70s, oh my God, we stunk. Holy cow! Lucky for him, he missed the 73, 74, 75 years. But when he came in 76, 77, 78, 79, yeah, we had some bad years. Bad years. You always feel sorry for some of these guys. But, all right, then number 6, we got, of course, Emlen Tunnell. I mean, he's number 2 all time as far as interceptions. Now he's behind Paul Krause. But the thing is with Paul Krause wound up playing, I believe it was 20-something more games than Emlen Tunnell played. And Emlen's only, a few interceptions shy of the all-time record. So if Emlen played as many games as Paul Krause did, he'd have more interceptions. He'd be the number 1 of all time. Now, Emlen Tunnell, he played with the Giants until 58. 58 championship game was his final game with the Giants. 59 from 59 to 61, he followed Vince Lombardi to the Packers. 1961 championship game was Emlen Tunnell's final game ever. And of course, it was in Green Bay. It was the championship game. Of course, Green Bay played the Giants. And of course, they only won 37-0. But who's counting, right? But that was his final game. But he was just, dynamic, on defense, returning kicks, very, phenomenal. And it was kind of funny because he actually broke his neck. I think it was, he plays for Iowa, I think it was. He broke his neck in college, right? So he was not highly, or I guess wasn't recruited at all, I guess, because nobody drafted him. He hitched a ride. And he went into the Giants. I asked Mr. Merrick for a tryout. Hey, Mr. Merrick's like, all right, why not? But apparently it was a guy, I think, who had a banana truck. Because at his enshrinement, he I want to thank he doesn't know who the guy's name was. He just hitched a ride. So you got some guy driving a banana truck in 1948, right? Picking up a African American, which of course we know back, there was some racial tensions back then. So I mean, I don't know what the color of the individual was who was driving the banana truck, but somebody picks up an African American hitchhiker in 1948. But apparently he was driving a banana truck, and Emlen Tunnell's. And Schreiman, he said, I want to thank the driver of the banana truck who picked me up, that took me to the Giants. Well, I guess I don't know if he drove him to the Giants, but he just maybe brought him to New York or something like that, whatever it was. But, but it just goes to show you, I mean, just some of the crazy stories back then. I mean, that's not happening nowadays. Guys hitchhiking in 2024 and getting picked up by somebody driving a banana truck and driving them. Don't happen nowadays. Of course, Michael Strahan. I mean, the thing was with Michael, it's just, it's dependability, always there. he wound up being a leader. But I mean, in today's nowadays, right? It's hard to find somebody, right, who had the pride, right? I'm over here. I'm setting the edge. I'm stopping the run. You're going to come. Hey, you run over here if you want. I'm going to tackle you, right? If you're gonna throw the ball, I'm going to sack you, right? Nowadays, it's all about how many sacks am I going to get, and how fast up the field can I get, and this, that, and the other thing. Nah, Michael was everything, right? He was, smart, tough, dependable. I mean, but he rushed the quarterback, right? And he could stop the run too. Very, very impressive. Very, very, so you don't see that a lot nowadays. A lot of it's how many sacks can I get? Because the more sacks I can get, the more Benjamins I can get, right? It's all about the Benjamins, right? So, and I'm really, really, happy for him. Really, really, because the guy's doing freaking phenomenal, right? But he was like a John Elway kind of thing, right? He won the Super Bowl and he rode off into the sunset. The thing is that the following season, 2008, we had just 2006. We lost, Tiki Barber retired 2007. We lost Shockey. We lost Michael Strahan in 2008 for whatever, the first 10 games, whatever it was, 10 before Plexico wound up shooting himself in the leg. We were the best team in football, and we lost Michael. But I said, Mike, I mean, it was just with this. I mean, like with Eli and Mike, you don't know exactly where they're going to go. Was Michael, was he going to be ahead of Frank Gifford? It was number 4. Who knows, right? But Frank Gifford, I mean, he was just, the American boy. 1952 out of USC. I mean, played so many different positions for the Giants. Let's see if it has it here for him. Frank Gifford was the ultimate Giant. Wellington Mara loved him like a son and was proud to act as his presenter for the Football Hall of Fame. A favorite Gifford returned years later by presenting him in Canton. For me, for 25 years, Frank Gifford has personalized the son every father dreams of, the player every coach dreams of, the father any son would cherish. Wellington Mara said at Gifford's induction. Gifford played for the Giants from 52 to 64. Of course, he had in 1960, and he got knocked out, so he missed the entire 61 season while he recuperated. Then he came back and played 62, 63, and 64. It was the Chuck Bednarik hit. Hit heard around the world. It says here, he did not play in 61 due to a serious injury suffered in the previous season by Chuck Bednarik. He was known as one of the most versatile backs in NFL history. Gifford was the first choice of the draft by the Giants in 52 after an All-American career in Southern California. He totaled 9,862 combined yards during his career. But a lot of the times that he was playing, they only played 12 games, unlike the 312 games a season they play nowadays. So if he's playing 17 games a season like they are nowadays, he would have a lot more yards. Now, from 52 to 60, he's only playing 12 games a season. His final 3 seasons, 62, 3, and 4, they were playing 14 games a season. He rushed for 3,609 yards, scored 367 passes, scored 484 points. He was named to the Pro Bowl as a defensive back in 53 and as an offensive back in the following year, a first in NFL history. Right? He played in 7 Pro Bowls and was named All-NFL 4 times and NFL Player of the Year in 56. Gifford holds the Giants' touchdown record with 78. And I said 78, and most of the years he played, he only played in 12 games. A true triple threat quarterback. I mean, he could throw the ball too. He was asked to throw the ball. He threw 14 touchdown passes in 60 attempts out of the halfback option. So he could run, he could catch, and he could pass. He could do it. He could do it all. Of course, after he retired, let's see, he came in 62 because he wasn't a running back anymore. He came back as a flanker. Let's see. And of course, he's a Hall of Fame broadcaster, right, for CBS and ABC. Gifford's charisma on the field and on the air were important elements in the growth and popularity of the modern NFL. He was a great friend to everyone in the league and a special advisor to the NFL commissioners, and served NFL fans with enormous distinction for so many decades. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just, when you think about Monday Night Football, I mean, you're going back, to the beginning of 1970, right? You got Frank Gifford and Howard Cosell, Danny Don Meredith. Actually, Keith Jackson was 1970. It was his only year. Keith Jackson was was on Monday Night Football. It was 1970. That was it. But Frank Gifford, I didn't get a chance to see him play, but I mean, just listening to him, on Monday Night Football and all that, everything just it brings back memories. Takes me back to being a kid again. I'll tell you what. And of course, you got Mel Hein, number 3. Of course, he's the only MVP 1938. Giants won 38 in 1938. They won the championship. They beat the Packers 23-17. But he was the MVP of the league that year as a center. Now, what it was, because it was such an important position to be able to snap the ball. But he's snapping it. It's not like, he's not just snapping a shotgun where the quarterback goes up and he snaps the ball. No, he had to be able to snap it to certain backs. Different guys were lined up behind him. Guy was lined up over here. Guy was lined up over here. Guy was lined up maybe behind or whatever. So he was very, very important. And he was just, another. Let's see what they got. What do they got here for him? Let's see. Following successful college career at Washington State, Mel Hein wrote to several NFL clubs offering his services. According to lore, the Providence Steamroller bid first, offering $125 a game. Mel signed and mailed the contract, only to learn the next day that he could get $150 from the Giants. So he sent a wire begging the postmaster in Providence to intercept the other contract and return it. Fortunately for the Giants, the first contract was returned and Mel and Hein destroyed it. The rest is history. Let's see. The durable two-way star at center and linebacker went on to play 15 seasons, a then-team record later tied by Phil Simms and Michael Strahan, and exceeded only by Eli Manning's 16 seasons. He was named first-team All-NFL center 8 straight years, from 33 to 40. Wow. 33, 34, 35, 38, 39. So in those years, 5 years, we went to the championship game. He also earned second-team All-NFL recognition 5 other times. He was named the league's most valuable player in 38 after anchoring a line that helped guide the Giants to the NFL championship with a 23-17 victory over the Packers at the Polo Grounds. He was the team captain for 10 seasons. Hein was a 60-minute regular, 60 minutes, playing in 170 games, and it is remembered as one of the most durable players in NFL history. That quality earned him the nickname Old Indestructible in the early days of football, when there was no platooning and players went 60 minutes every game. He called for an injury timeout just once in his career for hasty repairs to a broken nose. He never missed a game in high school or college and sat out just one in the NFL at Brooklyn on November 30th, 1933, due to injury. He was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame in 1954 and became a charter member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1963. We played 60 minutes in those days, Hines once said. I don't think I would have liked to play just half the time as they do today. Number 2, of course, is Roosevelt Brown, who I went over a little bit. Regarded as one of the best steals in the draft history. I said, to me, he's the greatest draft pick in the Giants' history, period. Brown played for the Giants from 53 to 65 after joining the team in the 27th round out of Morgan State. Brown held the starting tackle spot for 13 straight seasons. During that period, he was named to the Pro Bowl 9 times and was selected All-NFL 8 consecutive seasons. In 56, when the Giants won the league title, Brown was named Lineman of the Year by the Associated Press. Brown was a big, strong blocker who had the speed to make a block downfield. He was also used along the defensive line and goal line stands, too. Yes, yeah, yep. Brown helped the Giants advance to the championship game in 6 times. After his playing career, Brown continued the Giants' affiliation as a coach before being appointed as a scout. In 1975, Brown became only the second player to be elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the merits of his offensive line play alone. 1953, I went with the Giants, Brown said in his induction speech there. God was really good to me because he sent me to a team that was number one as far as I was concerned. The Maras, Wellington Mara, Tim Mara, Jack Mara, his son, well, they have all been like family to me. Football, as far as I'm concerned, is the number one sport. Football will always be the number one sport. Have any football players out there listening to me today? Treat this game good. Treat football good, and it will be good to you. Yeah, I mean, he was just, unbelievable. And of course, Lawrence Taylor. I mean, what can you just say? What can you say about Lawrence Taylor that hasn't been said about him? Just an absolute freak. Kind of makes you also wonder, if he kept his nose clean, if he focused on, concentrated, kept his head to the grindstone, as I guess they say, and didn't have the, some guys like me are not good on the field, but out in real life, I can function. Some people can function out in real life and they can function on the field. Lawrence Taylor, as we've seen, can function on the field, but out in real life, the guy's lost. The guy's always drunk. Yeah, any conversation, the guy has to be drunk. It's he's trying to pick up underage girls, and it's just the guy out in the real world is lost. He is lost. But on the field, obviously he was something else. It just made you wonder if he ever, concentrated, watched film or practiced or ate right, slept right, worked out, whatever. Like, makes you kind of wonder maybe what he really could, but there's no denying, when the guy was healthy, when the guy, it could just take over a game. It was just unbelievable. And I said, the one thing I said is that I remember back in the 80s, there were times when they were on TV. I was, when the Giants had the ball, I was almost like mad. Like, what do I want to see Phil Simms hand the ball off to Joe Morris for? What do I want to see that for? Let's get the defense on the field. Let's see him rip some heads off. That's what I'll tell you what. But so obviously, a bunch of guys. Obviously, Bill Parcells, but Lawrence Taylor, it's one of the huge reasons we have our first two Super Bowls. It's good old Lawrence Taylor. And, will there ever be somebody like him ever again? Well, maybe. Who knows? But as of right now, I haven't seen anybody. And as I said, the thing that really makes it that much more special with Lawrence Taylor is that the guy did it. He was either on drugs or he was probably drunk half the time or this or that. Could you imagine if he really took it, as serious as some of these guys take it nowadays? Could you imagine possibly what he could have done? All I know is we're very, very lucky that the New Orleans Saints took, was it Rodgers? I think the running back, first pick, allowed the Giants to take Lawrence Taylor, the second pick overall. Because, as I said, could there be somebody like Lawrence Taylor? Oh, sure. Absolutely. Somewhere along the line. But I said, I haven't seen him. All right. Well, that wraps that up. That's the 100 top players for the New York Giants. Of course, Lawrence Taylor is number one. Shocking. I know. All right, guys. It's been 1 hour, 13 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay of this, once again, thank you so much for Bob. He's well done. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!